How well is the Banquet Realm event doing? Well, the answer is pretty well. In the MCN yesterday, we covered something of a, well, good performance. It's going to be obviously good for Command, whether or not people like that or not. Of course, it keeps the game running. And again, whether you like Kabam or not, it's good for the healthy aspects of the game down the line, especially going to a very busy year of the game with the launch, hopefully, of the PC version, which again, hopefully will grow our community a bit more and give us a bit more lifeblood to continue on into the future. I am hoping we get another 10 years. That would be very nice. But of course, each to their own with what they like, what they don't like when it comes to how they feel about the business side of Kabam. But this Realm event has done very well and is continuing to go very well. Funny enough, just before I started recording this video, we were under the 4.1 billion mark. And as I've just kind of looked at it, it is that. Also, on the 26th of December, when I recorded the MCN, there was not much information on the performance. And of course, DNA 3000, shout out to DNA 3000. I'll put a link in the description to this thread right here, which is going to be going off of and talking about and referring to. This is really good for the performance of the event and also participation, which of course is another important thing. We've had previous Realm events like the Crystal Cleanse. No, it's not Crystal Cleanse, is it? It was, what was it? It's the Crystal one, the Battlegrounds one, and this one. And of course, we've had the Road to the Crypt one as well. But this one in particular, the Banquet one, is I wouldn't say rarity. It's been good to see performance of a high nature and players getting involved with it, but it does have this aspects to it. As a non-spending player myself, and also someone that has been very careful about unit spend, it is something I don't know if I want to do any more of, especially when it comes to like how the superior Banquet crystals don't feel that superior. And also the extent of investment versus take home, which is now at a very weird situation for myself in that if I invest any further, I'm not going to actually get much out of it with the climb of when I get back from the milestones from Realm or the standard solo. It just doesn't feel like it's advantageous to me. Either way, we're going to look at the facts. And DNA 3000, by the way, shout out to DNA 3000. He helped out in a matter recently in the last couple of days that I found some info about something that very helpful and also helpful to myself, which is great. So what are we going on this? Well, we're looking at an upward trajectory. Very good. This is technically 6 days into the Realm event, but as this one is only 2 weeks long, I am going to post updates on a different schedule. I was going to post every couple of days, but that seemed to be less interesting. The event started with a huge burst of points, which was obvious to everyone and didn't have very much interesting to say about that. We all knew it wouldn't last, and it was just a question of where it would settle down to. I was going to post something a few days later, but then holiday sales landed on the 23rd, and then Christmas itself had a bump that kept pushing out my analysis of the numbers for context. So let's get obvious stuff out of the way first. You can see this is the trajectory. It is really impressive that the community are involved with it, and this is a lot easier than Crystal Cleanse, which was it called Crystal Cleanse? I keep calling it Crystal Cleanse. I don't know if that was what it was called, but it wasn't called Crystal Cornucopia. What was it? I cannot remember. Put it in the comments what it was, because I just can't remember what it was. Crystal something or other. Just opening crystals. We're already way ahead of the pace reach of the non-stretch milestone, which is 4.24 billion points. It's all Titan shards from there, although I have heard people say they thought we'd stall out before reaching it. I believe at this event was gone. Those voices have seemed increasingly pessimistic. As I write this, we are at 3.9 billion. So you can just get like a sense of this, a morsel of a taste of a snifter, that at the point of DNA putting this out, which was I think later on in December 26th, that within, what is this, So I'm recording this on late, very late in the UK, actually 11:15. Funny enough, we have got a weird sound that keeps appearing in the house, which me and Em are trying to find out where that's actually coming from. Emma's actually sitting down in our bathroom trying to figure out exactly where the noise triangulates from. But it is at 4.1 billion points right now as to... well, you know, that's good news. It's good news because that's 200 million more points than when this post was posted, which is, again, good kind of like news to know about that. Of course, it is a very much, hey, grab some more units, spendy, if you want to, you know, get involved with it. We're so far ahead. The rate we have been sustained to reach that milestone by the end keeps dropping like a rock. So yeah, it's kind of like little kind of like beep beep, like little bips of kind of like good. You know, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We might not do it. We may do it. We're doing well enough so far, especially with such a limited time before this event ends. In fact, there's was it 1 week? Yeah, less than 1 week. So this is actually rates in blue compared to the necessary rate in orange. The big day one spike makes it difficult to see the gap. Here is what it looks like since that first couple of days. You can see like there. It's just really incredible, isn't it? Like it's so surprisingly incredible. I didn't think we'd do as well, but we're doing well. Once again, the blue is the players and the orange is the necessary rate to reach 4.24 billion. It keeps dropping because the more points we earn, the lower the rate we have to sustain for the rest of the way. Our rate is slowing down minus the holiday sales and the Christmas burst. More on that later, but it doesn't seem to be slowing down fast enough to catch up with the necessary rate. There seems to be a persistent slow trickle of points that keeps coming in no matter what. I say trickle, but it is between 5 and 8 million points per hour, the equivalent of 10 to 20k SBCs open per hour. If we extrapolate our current rate of points to the end of the event, we get this, which you can see right there. Wow. It's still really impressive. Like, to compare this against the Battlegrounds one and the Crystal ones, it just shows that we haven't needed any Kabam intervention. This has been something that's, well, I don't know, Kabam have either said like, hey, normally the player base, when it comes to the Banquet event, opens X amount. That X amount maybe 4.2 or 4.5 billion or 4.3 or whatever billion crystals, superior, greater, whatever it's going to be, and they've gone, they're going to achieve this. Or it's a case of like, well, we have to go on higher. I don't know whether point reductions, whether or not it's pushed up that, bumped up that. I don't know because of the extent of extra additions Kabam have done, either tactically or through mistakes to say, hey, by the way, there's a Banquet event milestone thing in the Summoners Market. Oh, by the way, there is something of a holiday day sale on the 23rd of December. You don't know if these things were planned. The Kabam had them in. Also, the bump up in the extent of players getting the tickets. If you're a Valiant player, you got 12 of the tokens from 129 tickets and you're free to play. Then, of course, you've got what you've got. There's also the people that spent at the start of, say, September to get Banquet tickets towards the end of the year. There's also the bundles that came up. 2 loads of bundles. Bundle 1, which didn't have a Banquet key. Bundle 2, which was released on the 23rd and had another thing as well. There's lots of different things that were put out by Kabam that, of course, it bumped up things when it came to, people's approach and volume. Oh, it's called the Crystal Cleanse. In the Crystal Cleanse, we learn approximately how many active players there are. In Battlegrounds Blitz, we got a much better idea of how many players are willing to interact with Battlegrounds, and it was far higher than I think anyone outside the dev team expected. The Banquet event is at its core a spending event. What can it tell us about the spending? Well, they've started to making some estimations and assumptions. We're not going to get clear views of anything of a couple of complicating reasons. Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? For first, unlike the Crystal Cleanse, in which we were virtually impossible to not participate at all, not every player will necessarily participate in the Banquet. Most probably did, but even there's a lot of casual players might not spend or have units to spare, as many did not do any of the things necessary to max out free-to-play tickets, which is, of course, I did that, I maxed them out, but that's because I wanted them. And of course, that's further to what is said here. The free-to-play maximum ticket amount possible was 129, and that translates to 12 SBCs. The Accolades event adds an additional 5. You only get 100 points each for them. So there's, and that's the thing we're talking about in the video, like, you've got to surmise. You can't surmise everything. You can't assume everything, because there is the factor of you got to consider A, B, C, and D for it. Here's the interesting part, and here's some factual stuff, right? As initial guesstimate, just to see where the numbers land, let's guess, and that half the points from earned units have from brought units and have from bought units or cash offers. That leaves us with 1.35 billion points from spending. It normally costs around $10 USD for an SBC generated 400 points. So 1.35 billion points translates to $33 million spent on the event so far. Does that number make any sense? We can gain some context from Netmarble's financial reports in Q4 of 2023, reporting approximately $60 million used in revenue from MCOC. There's some margins for error in that number that aren't relevant to the discussion, but we're dealing with rough estimates anyway. If we assume most of the revenue came from the app purchases, my guess is now only a small fraction of purchases are coming from the web store. Then if Netmarble earned $60 million USD, players spent about $85 million USD in Q4. That was about $17 million higher than the previous quarter and $20 million USD higher than the following quarter. 34 million USD is a reasonable number relative to those numbers. It fits within the constraints of the PAS revenue. And of course, whether or not that's Cyber Weekend incorporated in that, that's going to be another kind of huge thing as well. And whether or not players went out to spend there versus here. There's so much to this. Really interesting write-up from a DNA 3000. I'll put a link to it in the description, because it's just interesting to kind of like read a bit more. I didn't want to kind of like go and read through all of it and kind of like and add anything, because I wanted to add like a bit more, but time's going on with this video and I don't want to make it super long with it. Either way, I know of things that have hit it when it comes to like, some people aren't so interested with it. Some people are annoyed about the SBC. Some people are annoyed about the event in general. Of course, I've got my own thoughts. I do find it quite frustrating with the jump up in it when it comes to like the front end of unit investment as to what you actually get back from it year on year, and how, again, I'm worried about 2025, because if we had 3,000 that you needed to back about 3 years ago, last year you needed 9,500 units, and this year you need 15 to 18,000 units, then that's kind of an unfair jump. That's nearly twice as much you need like year on year, and it's worrying for what could be next year as to the standard of investment as to take home, especially if there's something like a Realm event for 2025, which could again be frustrating. It seems like a very much kind of money spinner for Kabam. But the bigger problem is, of course, Netmarble. It's not just about Kabam, it's Netmarble and their habits when it comes to how they run things and instruct earning like targets and goals and stuff. Anyway, what are your thoughts on the performance and stuff like that? Put it in the comments. And yeah, really interesting write-up. Cheers to DNA 3000. Shout out to him. Link in the description. See you soon. Bye.